Hello and welcome to a new, what a week that was, where it looks like my voice is out of sync. But anyway, let's not worry about that too much. It's just pretend you're watching GB News when it first started and you'll be in the right place. Anyway, hope you're well. We've had a busy week this week with stuff going on. Unsurprisingly, it's not all about Boris this week. What the hell is that? Right. It's not all about Boris this week. Although, technically, it's about Boris. Boris was doing some stuff where you... local election stuff. So I just want to check something out. Because I'm not happy with the voice thing. I just want to see if it's working. Your channel. I don't care about TikTok. Problem with adverts, isn't it? Annoying. Right. So yeah, I need to talk, don't I? I'm watching this, and it's like a bit of a delay. Just checking that the voice is in sync. So yeah, I need to talk, don't I? It's near enough. It's near enough. It's near enough. That will do. Right then. So I'm happy now. So Boris was up in the northwest, and he went to Bury FC, which is a football club that, if you're not local to the area, it basically went bankrupt for whatever reasons. And had to shut down, got kicked out of the league and everything. The government gave £1 million to help the fans to buy it and get it open again, and then they got Boris to paint the centre circle. So basically Boris did a 360, which is like a U-turn with a U-turn, which is very unusual for Boris because he doesn't normally do anything like that. It does seem to have taken off the shine of his trip to India, and also the stuff about Partygate. That seems to have been not swept under the carpet, but certainly not as prevalent as it was before. And maybe a reason for that is that Sir Keir Starmer, the leader of the Labour Party, I did mention this weeks ago, last year, during a lockdown where you weren't allowed to socialise with people indoors, were socialising with people indoors drinking beer. And Angela Rayner, the deputy leader of the Labour Party, famous for allegedly recreating a scene from a movie in the House of Commons, more of that later, said that she wasn't there and she knew nothing about it and it wasn't a party, it was blah blah blah. And it turns out she lied. She was there. So Boris has lied, allegedly, and now Angela Rayner has lied. Admitted she's lied. So they're all as bad as each other. But we've been saying this for years, haven't we? Tories in power, Labour as oppositions. Yeah, it's just like ridiculous. It's like wet lettuce city all the time. Anyway, we are currently having technical issues because I pressed the wrong button. But we're alright now. We are sorted. Don't forget, you can comment. If you want to comment about anything, feel free to comment. It's good to comment. One leader who was having a good time was everyone's favourite, Macron of France. He won his election vote, which was last Sunday, against Wigan, yeah, against the I nearly said Eva Peron then. That was like years ago, and Le Pen, that's the one, not Peron, Le Pen. He won quite handsomely, it turned out, against her. Oh dear, that's not right, but never mind, we'll get over it. In the meantime, another winner was Elon Musk. He's actually bought Twitter, and he said he's going to make it now more of a platform for free speech, which opens up a massive can of worms. And I don't mean necessarily in a good way, because one of the problems with Twitter and social media in general are trolls who basically bully people, slander people, do stuff on there which is not very pleasant, and it causes people to have anxiety, harm themselves, various other things. So there should be some control there. You cannot say that it is literally just a free speech table and you can say whatever you want. That is not going to work, Elon Musk, unfortunately. But what is going to work, most definitely, although I'm not going to buy one because they're inexpensive, is an aeroplane car. It's a car that can fly. It's not the Jetsons, nothing like the Jetsons, I'll be honest with you. It's more like, well, it reminds me of one of them bugs. If you're old enough to remember the 70s, if you remember Reliant Robins, well, there was another version of that come out, and it was called the Bug, and it was orange and black. Spots the similarity. I can't point at it because I've got the thing the wrong way around. But yeah, it was like, but now this one's got wings, so you can actually fly with it. And I'm like, why would you want to do that? Why would you want to fly in a car? But you can only do it if you've got a pilot's license. So it's not like, you know, any Tom, Dick and Harry could go down and get one. But what worries me is if someone steals one and tries and flies it and they don't know how to fly it. That could be quite scary. So I need to move that, actually. Just bear with me while I do some technical stuff. Oh, hang on, no, I should move it further than that. Dum-de-dum-dum-dum. Where are we? And then move up, and let's see now. Oh, finger's gone, but if I do that, my finger will fade in. Wow, special effect. So yeah, it's basically, it looks like a Bug from the 1970s, which were cool little cars, I'll be honest with you. They looked the dog's dangly bits. I always kind of wanted one, more than a Reliant Robin. They were very like space agey and James Bondy and stuff like that. I'm not really sure whether James Bond's actually ever driven a Bug, but I'm sure an actor who's played James Bond has driven a Bug at some point, because that would be insane if they hadn't. One thing that's bugging Mr. Putin is the fact that, well, we don't know for definite, but it looks like Ukraine are actually attacking sites within Russia. For example, this is an oil depot at Bryansk, and 2 explosions started there. Now, we don't know whether they were done by Ukraine with missiles, with drones, or whether they actually had people go in there and sabotage it, or whether it was just being Russian, it just doesn't work properly and it blew up. But either way, there's been more than this going on in Russia, and it looks like Ukraine are definitely fighting back. I mean, of all the countries to pick on, Vladimir, you definitely chose the wrong one. I mean, Ukraine, fantastic spirit of the people, and you've got to applaud them, every single one of them, never mind just the president. Having said that, not all leaders are great. For example, this guy here, he is the leader, I can't remember whether it's Prime Minister, I think he is Prime Minister because it's the British Virgin Islands. So he's the Prime Minister of the British Virgin Islands. He's gone over to America and he's now been arrested for drug smuggling and money laundering. And he's the leader of a country. But apparently he was already under investigation for various frauds and various other bits and pieces as well. So he's not basically a nice person, and you don't trust him at all. Drug trafficking, I mean drug trafficking, I can't even say it. It's just ridiculous, particularly when you're a leader. But one leader that I do feel sorry for already is the new England cricket captain, and that is Ben Stokes. Now Ben Stokes he reminds me a lot really of Freddie Flintoff. He's like the 20s version of Freddie Flintoff. But unfortunately, he's had some issues recently, and I'm not sure putting someone as captain of the England cricket team he's been very open about his mental health issues, particularly over the last 12 months or so. He even took time out from cricket to try and sort his mental health issues out, and now he's been made captain of the England Test team after Joe Root, and I'm not sure for him that is a good move. It might be a good move because there's no one else apparently in the England cricket team who are good enough to do it, but I think it could affect him quite adversely. So hopefully he's past the worst, but I do worry that stress levels are going to be going through the roof for him, and I do feel for him, definitely. Wish him all the best, but it is quite a scary time. House of Commons even. That's where the common people go, like Lisa Nandy and Boris Johnson and people like that, the common people. And they discuss things and all that kind of things. But one man took it to another level. One of the MPs, Neil Parish, decided that it was, whilst they were debating something or other, it was a good idea to watch some blue movies, shall we say, on his mobile phone, whilst sitting between two other lady MPs. Now, he's a Conservative, but I don't think he's the only person on the planet who looks at blue movies. It's not something that has ever appealed to me, I'll be honest with you. I just don't see the point of watching people being blue to get some stimulant from it. I just don't get that at all. But anyway, that's another story for another day. But anyway, yeah, he's 65 and he was watching blue movies in the House of Commons, which apparently is disgraceful. Now, I'm pretty sure there's people done worse in the House of Commons. Oh no, it wasn't. It was Dirty Den, wasn't it? Hiya, DC. It was Dirty Den, Leslie Grantham, who got his meat and two veg out whilst he was in the studios of the BBC EastEnders and got sacked for it. They killed him off, actually. The late, great Leslie Grantham. Anyway, he's now been suspended from the Conservative parliamentary whatever. He's lost all his jobs within that, but he said he's going to carry on as an MP. Okay, I'll see how that goes for you, mate. Also, while we're talking about stuff like that, where were we? James Corden. Now, James Corden is a weird character. He's one of these people who started his career, or certainly become prominent, with the Reading Boys, or whatever it was called. A movie about posh kids in a private school learning literature. Yeah, there was a few others in there as well that are famous. It was a bit like the equivalent of Quadrophenia, or the comedy troupe that they had on Channel 4 when it first started, which brought us lots and lots of people through. Comic Strip Presents, that one. So, similar kind of thing, and he brought through. And then he got minor parts in things, and then he was in Gavin and Stacey, and he played the plumber guy, I think he was. I never watched it, I'll be honest. He played the plumber guy, and it was all cool, and he was like super cool, but this is like a small British thing. And then he gets this massive job in America as taking over from people like what's he called, the guy with the beard now? I forgot his name. Anyway, him on the Late Late Show, which is like a talk show in America, and I'm like, how the heck does like an insignificant actor get a job like that? Anyway, he's been doing it for years now, and he said that he's going to finish this time next year. He's going to finish, and he's going to go and do something else, which means no more carpool karaoke. Thank God for that. He might end up coming back into Doctor Who knows? He might be the next Doctor. Maybe he was a doctor when he wasn't a doctor when he was a doctor. I don't know, I'm making it up, aren't I? I don't know. Talking of making things up, or certainly making them better again, that is the Lytham St Anne's windmill, and apparently it got very severely damaged during the storms that we've had recently, and it blew and damaged the wakes. There's talks of him doing a talk show here. Oh no. Like Wogan. Or taking over the One Show. I'd watch that if he took over the One Show. I'd watch that. Anyway, It won't be the same money though, will it? And the weather's not as good. But anyway, that's beside the point. Lytham St Anne's, talking about weather. The blades of the windmill got damaged, destroyed during a storm, and they've been fixed this week. So the windmill is now back to its full glory. There it is, awaiting its 4th sale. The wood had to be shipped in from America though, because we don't have trees straight and tall enough to actually, and strong enough to actually be sails, which makes you wonder how the hell did they build as many windmills as they did 200-300 years ago in Britain, because they were everywhere at one point. But apparently now we don't have wood long and hard enough to stand being a sail. And having said that, there's holes in them, so they won't turn around anyway. So they're a bit rubbish. But it's been fixed. So if you go back to Lytham St Anne's now, you'll be pleased to hear that it's all fixed and everything is good to go. Wigan Council, they're in the news today. It turns out that they have been, over the last... See, there's a bit of confusion about what's going on here. A lot of people have said, 100 people have been suspended from the council. It's disgraceful for various allegations, including sexual harassment and drug taking. But this is over the last 3 years, and let's be honest, there's a lot of people work for Wigan Council. So it's about 95 people, and the council have continued paying people who were suspended, and apparently over the last 3 years they've spent £485,000, well, over £485,000 on wages of people who are suspended. So it's 95 members of staff from April 29, and included 37 individuals in 2020. Assault, theft, fraud were amongst the claims unearthed by Freedom of Information request by Wigan Today. In 2019 they spent 141,000, 25 people suspended. In 2020 it was 170,000 with 37 suspended, 162,000 in 21 with 29 suspended, and we've already had 4 suspended this year so far. Now, I have said, if you watch my political things, that Wigan Council chambers are a bizarre place, and there is almost harassment going on with the non-Labour councillors when they try and do something or say something. The Labour councillors just either won't vote for it at all or will vote against it. And at the Edge in November, they actually played theme music from, I can't remember if it was Jaws or The Exorcist, when one of the independent councillors, Councillor Brealey, was going up to make a speech. Now that to me is harassment and bullying, and I've said this before, I didn't know anything about this that's going on now, but I said before that if that was in a normal place of work, you will be suspended. There'd be an inquiry into it, and I think there should be. And if I do get in as a councillor, because that's what I'm going for at the minute, then I definitely will be outing all these people who are just bullies and, taking the mickey. Talking of taking the mickey and Boris, this is Boris 2. This is Boris Becker. Now, Boris Becker was like a teenage heartthrob for a while. He won Wimbledon in the 1980s. And he was only like 17 when he first won it, and he won it a few more times. He became a multi-millionaire, he married, he lived a lavish lifestyle, he then got divorced, and it all went, what we call in the trade, Pete Tong. And now he's in prison because basically he got made bankrupt, and he declared he had no money, but what he'd done is he'd actually hidden the money in secret bank accounts around the world, and he'd hidden his trophies as well that he won at Wimbledon, which, let's be honest, there's not many of them around, so people know where they are, and all of a sudden they just disappeared and then magically reappeared later. So he's got 2.5 years, half of which is going to be on licence, so he'll at least be in for 1 year, 3 months, but for good behaviour he might get out in 6-7 months' time. But either way, it is the fall of a German national hero, and to be fair, he was almost a British national hero as well. I think the people of Britain kind of fell in love with him for a period of time. Even did some commentary on British TV at Wimbledon and things like that. So, yeah, poor old Boris. So like I said, it's a good week for one Boris and a bad week for another Boris. Going back to Ukraine, the president of the UN went to Kiev and met with Zelensky. Hello, Jimmy Shand. And he was having a tour of some of the horrendous sites that are now in Ukraine, including mass graves just outside Kiev, Kvyat, and various other things as well. What's going on behind me? Anyway, then he had a meeting, and next thing we know, there's 2 rocket attacks, killing an individual, a civilian, in an apartment block, and injuring many other people, and everyone is saying it was attacked by Russia on the UN because they knew that he was there, and they don't support the UN. They don't want Ukraine to become part of anything Western, so NATO, UN, all that kind of stuff. They want to keep them out of it, and they want to keep them neutral, or they want to make them into Russia. And the scary thing is, the more we look at Putin, the iller he looks. Now, it might be the stress, to be honest, because stress does have a way of affecting you. I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt. So whether or not it's just stress related that's going on with Putin at the minute, I hope to God it is, and not some awful illness where he's losing his marbles, because he's even threatened countries that are sending weapons or helping Ukraine in any way of action against them, and even hinted that that could be nuclear. So the guy is beyond unstable, and attacking the UN General Secretary is not a wise move. I know it wasn't direct, but it certainly was an attack whilst he was in the vicinity. And let's be honest, with Russian rockets and their amazing power of finding the target, not, because they're the latest technology, not, then it's lucky in a way that they didn't end up in a worse place. Now, the poor lady who passed away was a reporter for... he's lost all control, in my opinion. I personally don't think he even knows what he's doing. That's Jimmy Shand says that, and you're not wrong. That's what worries me. I don't know whether he's got... Because, if you don't sleep, your mind goes a bit weird. Because I've had plenty of that over the last 6 months, with the stress of the shop and everything else going on. And you don't sleep, and your brain just kind of goes all a bit weird and a bit mental. So if he's not sleeping because of the stress of the war that he started, then that is going to affect his judgment. However, if he's got a terminal illness, and we've said this before on here, and he knows he's got a terminal illness, therefore he knows he's only got X number of years as leader, he wants to make his mark. He wants to become the next Lenin. He wants to become... he wants statues of himself all over Russia, and everyone's saying what a great leader he was. He wants to leave a legacy. But the only legacy he's leaving is he's a wannabe Hitler. And the Russian people are being brainwashed, as they have been for decades, that it's all Ukraine's fault, it's all America's fault and everything. And it's not. It's Putin. And I do worry that Putin is so unstable that he'll be that desperate to do something that he's going to do something really, really stupid, and it could affect, well, lots of people and possibly even the whole planet. But again, we've kind of sleptwalked into this as Europeans by buying oil and other stuff from them, and we've become dependent on Russia. And obviously, if you're getting billions and billions of dollars and rubles and whatever in, and you're a megalomaniac, then you're going to use that, like Hitler did, in building up your army, building up your strategy, all this kind of stuff, to then invade other people, and that's what he's done. But the problem we've got is that a lot of the countries rely that much on the oil and the gas from Russia, particularly European countries, that they can't just stop it, because that means they'd have no energy, they'd have no petrol, they'd have no heating, they'd have no way of cooking food for countries. So millions and millions of people are going to be affected. So they've still got to buy oil and gas, and Putin knows this. He might be daft, but he's not stupid, if you know what I mean. A weak America means an unrestful world. Yep. I mean, you've got Joe Biden, who's made another monumental slip-up with his auto cue, apparently, in the last 24 hours. Before that, you had Trump, who's just a monumental slip-up. The last leader who had anything about him, I'd probably say, was Barack Obama. But you look back on his legacy, and it wasn't that great. America is a shadow of its former self. And Russia and China, don't forget China are still around. They've gone quiet. They've certainly not told Russia that what they're doing is wrong in Ukraine. And I think, and I've said this before, we should be putting sanctions on China, because how do we not know that China are secretly giving weapons to Russia? How do we not know they are doing other things to help Russia, like lending them money or giving them money or whatever? Because them two countries are so close together, and we've got to take action. But we rely on China for everything as well. This is where all the microchips come from. Remember Silicon Valley was in America? Well, not anymore. Silicon Valley now is basically the whole of China. And if we fall out with China, we get no more computers, no more batteries, no more electronics, no more crap clothes from Wish. We've literally sleepwalked into dependency on places and countries that we shouldn't have done. And, well, technically it's our own fault. You reap what you sow. Every empire falls. Greece, Mongolia, Rome, Spain, England, America, China will be the next great world power. That is a possibility, DC. Definitely. Because we don't know what they've got lined up. We don't know what they have in their back pocket. And we know, if you watch programs from China from like 20, 30 years ago, it was very, very dire place to be. And you go now and it's literally totally high-tech. I mean, watching the Grand Tour, I think it was a Grand Tour, a couple of years ago when they were in China, and they've got these amazing motorways that basically are on stilts around, going through rainforests, around mountains and things like that. The issue is, in my opinion, is Putin attacking another NATO country on purpose just to blame someone else for the war and make Russia look innocent. Yeah, well, it's all he said, she said, isn't it? I mean, the thing with Putin, and for that matter, Russia in general, is propaganda. They're always trying to deflect stuff from them when everyone knows they're doing it. It's a bit like the bully at school, isn't it? I mean, you know, the bully at school punches someone in the face, and the teacher says, "Did you do that?" "No, it was him, miss." And that's how it works. And basically, Putin is a bully. The unfortunate thing is, he's got a massive army and lots of money and weapons, and he's not just bullying individuals, although he does do that, obviously. He's bullying entire countries, and the whole of Europe at the moment is, you know, being bullied because they say, well, if you don't pay us in rubles, we're going to stop the oil and you'll all freeze to death. So you've got to take, not with a pinch of salt, you've got to take it with a full container of salt, what Putin says. But the problem you've got is the Russians, particularly my age, like middle-aged, they've been fed this stuff for years. I mean, I remember Brezhnev. I remember all the ones from Brezhnev anyway. And the only one who was good was Gorbachev. He was the one who was bald with the looked like he had Italy as a birthmark on his head. And he was the one who did Glasnost and brought down the Berlin Wall and ended the Cold War and everything. And that actually worked for Russia because it made Russia prosperous. But then you get Putin taking over power over 20 years ago and hanging on to it. Again, we've discussed this before on these programs, where he's president, but you can only be president for so many terms. So then he becomes prime minister and has one of his mates as president, but he's basically telling his mate, who's the president, what to do. So technically he's still the president. And then once the time has gone past of where he can be president again, he becomes president again. And that's basically how it works for him. So what he's been doing is becoming the president and the prime minister for 20 years. You get to that stage where no one can challenge him. The opposition leader is in jail at the moment, and he was poisoned whilst he was in, was it the UK, Germany, somewhere? Because Russia has a habit of poisoning people, as do China for that matter. So he has become a megalomaniac, and it's scary that if he thinks he's coming to the end of his life, he thinks he can do anything to get that immortality. It's a bit like terrorists in that respect. A lot of terrorists are brainwashed into saying, if you do this for our proposed God, then you will become immortal, and you will have all these Vestal virgins and all that kind of stuff, and your name will live on forever. And it does, because whenever the news refer to a terrorist attack, for example the Manchester bombing, they always refer to the bomber. And I don't agree with that, because you are making them immortal. What you need to do is refer to the victims. So you say, the bomber who killed so-and-so and so many others, and then alphabeticalise them or whatever. And every time you mention it, every news, whatever, you go down the list. So we remember the people who died, not the people who did the bombing, because that is so important. We all know he's a dictator, not a president, prime minister. Well, yeah, exactly. He is a dictator. If you don't allow free speech, if you completely suppress freedom of speech totally, you control all the newspapers, you control all the TV, you control everything, the internet. They're not allowed on certain websites, things like that. If you protest, I mean, remember when the war started, there were people in Russia holding up blank pieces of paper in the street like that, and they would get arrested because they were protesting against the war. It was a blank piece of paper, there was nothing on it. That is a dictatorship, and it's scary that when people get in power for so long and are unchallenged, they just think they can do anything, and they believe they can do anything, and the problem is they are surrounded by people who kind of egg them on as well. So it is very, very disturbing what is going on in Russia, and obviously that's overspilling into Ukraine and Belarus as well, which is all part of the same thing. I mean, the Belarus president is just like, well, everyone hates Putin at the minute, so if I'm his friend, I'm going to get all the benefits. I'm going to get, if I ask for money, I'll get it. If I ask for weapons, I'll get it. So it's just taking advantage of the situation. It's just a hanger-oner. But he's hanging on with the wrong person. And I'm pretty sure that Putin's time will come. Whether it's in court or just in history, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, it's not good at all. So we've had a bit of chat, but not a huge amount. We've got 9 people watching at the minute, which is nice, and 2 likes as well. But feel free to join in the chat. You don't have to agree with me. If you disagree with me, tell me. No, I think Putin's great. I think he's a fantastic gentleman. If that's what you think, then, come and, say it. Say it. One thing I forgot to mention as well, because we're going to do a bit of a recap now. Hiya, Smiley Mac. Where's the drinks thing? Now, Keir Starmer having a drink indoors with other people when there was a lockdown and you weren't allowed to socialise indoors with people. And Angela Rayner said that she wasn't there, she didn't know anything about it, and then it turns out there are photographs of her being there. I never thought they actually got on, but then I found this picture of them, and I don't know whether that's a picture of someone who's like besotted or absolute hatred, but there's definitely something going on between them two, and I think it is a negative thing. I don't think it's a positive thing at all. And don't forget, she's got told off for allegedly crossing her legs, like in Fatal Attraction. This is what British politics is like now, and then you wonder why I'm trying to get into becoming. She wants him. I'm trying to get into the local council. I'm trying to get myself elected as an independent, because I think the only way to defeat these people and make changes from within. They don't listen to people within. They don't listen to people without. But I'm not someone who shuts up. I'm someone who says what I think. I'm someone who stands by my principles, and I'm someone who says if I make a mistake, I make a mistake. For example, if I'd gone to a party in lockdown, I would have said, I went to a party in lockdown and done whatever you have to do. But I'm not in power, and I didn't go to a party because I don't do parties. I can't remember the last time I went to a party. God, I think it was probably about 17 years ago, something like that. I just don't like going to parties. Don't like being in with lots of people who are drunk. That's the main thing. Anyway, digress. So why am I joining the council? So let's have a recap then. So it's been a week of Boris's this week. Boris Becker, remember him? The teenager who won Wimbledon. He wasn't even seeded the first time he won Wimbledon. He used to do a thing with his shirt as well, I remember, which was like that. Obviously it was a polo shirt, and he kind of go like that and then go like that. And I didn't even watch tennis, but I started doing it. It was mad. I was walking down the street and I'd just go like that with my shirt. Anyway, one thing I haven't done is hide millions of pounds worth of money and then said I'm broke. But he did. He's been found guilty, and he's got 2.5 years, half of which is suspended, in prison. Not suspended, on licence, in prison. So he's now at Her Majesty's pleasure. Meanwhile, Boris, who's been having a torrid time lately, has been not doing a U-turn, he's been doing a 360 by painting the white line in Bury Football Club's ground. The government gave £1 million to the fans to help buy the club and get it out of debt, and hopefully get it back on road to non-league football, and then maybe eventually league football. And we don't know where that story is going to end, but hopefully it's going to end well. And other than that, he's had a comparatively quiet week. He denounced the people who said that Angela Rayner was deliberately putting him off with the Fatal Attraction thing. So he's had a good week for Boris anyway. In the House of Commons, very serious stuff goes on in there. But one MP decided that it was a perfect place to watch some blue movies. But he did it in between. Well, he did it full stop. Neil Parish, MP, he's been suspended from the Conservative whip, whatever that means. But he's still an MP, which makes no sense, because that's just total disrespect of the position he's in. Talking of lack of disrespect, or lack of respect of the position you're in, this here is the Prime Minister of the British Virgin Islands, who's awaiting trial in America on charges of drug smuggling and money laundering. Well, drug trafficking and money laundering. You couldn't make it up. One leader who's doing alright at the moment is Macron, who has become, for the first time in a very long while, a president of France who's managed to hang on and get re-elected again. So congratulations to him. Doesn't look like we're going to get Frexit after all. But people might be Twexit of Twitter, because Elon Musk has got it, and he said he wants to make it a platform for free speech, which, to be fair, I think it already is enough, and like I said earlier, I don't think that's necessarily a good idea. I kind of like Macron. He is quite sexy, to be fair. I know that you don't mean that. But yeah, Elon Musk, he must buy that. I'm surprised he hasn't bought this, actually, which is the flying car. To be fair, I think it's from Sweden, but they've got a factory now in Coventry, at Coventry Airport. Doesn't he want to buy Coke too? No, that's the president of, or the Prime Minister of the British Virgin Islands. You're getting mixed up, mate. No, what did Elon Musk say? Oh, he's going to buy something. It was hilarious what he said. I can't remember what it was now. I'm going to buy... Oh, that was it. I'm going to buy McDonald's and fix all the milkshake machines, all the McFlurry machines or something like that, he said. And it was hilarious. Oh, you mean Coca-Cola? All right. Oh, I don't know. I don't know about that. That wouldn't surprise me. He'd just buy everything. He's like the American version of... I'm not thought of him for ages. The guy who owns Sports Direct and House of Fraser and all that. Mike Ashley. He's like America's version of Mike Ashley, and he just buys everything and then runs it into the ground, probably. We also discussed the fact that Wigan Council, over the last 3 years, have suspended 95 employees, not necessarily councillors. I mean, these could be bin men or cleaners or library workers or whatever, for harassment, sexual harassment, bullying, theft and all that kind of stuff. But when you're suspended, you still get paid. So they've spent just short of £500,000 on wages while people have been suspended. Yeah, most wanted to buy Coca-Cola and put cocaine back in it again. Very good. I like that. I did discuss my concerns for the new captain of the England cricket team, which has been announced this week, which is Ben Stokes, who's publicly talked about his struggles with mental health. And I don't think the responsibility of being the captain of the England cricket team is something that someone in that position really needs at the moment. Just Elon Musk things. We also discussed the fact that no one really cares, but James Corden is leaving the Late Late Show. And David Letterman, that's what I was on about before. It's come to me all of a sudden. I used to watch it when it was David Letterman. I've never been able to watch it. That's a weird thing, isn't it? You've never been able to watch it when it was James Corden. But I do find him annoying when he's hosting things. I watched a couple episodes of that. What's that sports show he does on Sky? When he first started doing it, and he just irritates me. I like him when he's like, I liked him in Doctor Who, and the couple of episodes I saw him in Gavin and Stacey, he was bearable, but yeah, he does my head in. And he did bring to the world carpool karaoke, which I assume he's not done recently because of COVID. But either way, it's one thing I will not miss at all. A League of Their Own, that's the one. That's the chappy. Not a big fan of A League of Their Own, but I don't have Sky, so I don't watch it, I'll be honest with you. I'm forgetting where I'm up to now with my recap. Oh yeah, and then we discussed Russia being on fire, possibly from strikes from Ukraine or from either sabotage, maybe people in Russia have done it themselves, or maybe Ukrainians or even other countries have gone in and sabotaged. That was an oil depot, and there's other fires and explosions and things going on in Russia as well. It may well be the Russians themselves just saying, look, we're protecting you from this, because they've accused Ukraine so many times of bombing themselves that maybe they thought, actually, that's not a bad idea. If we bomb ourselves, we can look like the victims. So I think that's what you were angling at, wasn't it, before Jimmy Shand? And meanwhile, the Secretary General of the UN, which is that guy there. Oh, don't want to point there, do I? No, there we go. Oh, there we go. Oh, it's all backwards. There you go. That guy there. He was in Ukraine and in Kiev, and he basically was there when it got hit by 2 rockets. Sadly, a civilian died and many were injured. but it kind of proves the point that Russia is dangerous. Not that we didn't know that already, but you don't attack the UN when they're on your doorstep. It's not a good thing to do. And I think, other than the windmill at Lytham St Anne's, that is your lot. Now, I normally do these for 30 minutes, and we're on 45 minutes at the minute, so we've done well tonight. And it didn't crash. I'm going to ask, how was the quality for you guys? Is my voice in sync for a start? And did it skip or anything like that? Because I've got a brand new camera, which is this one here. Hello. Which is a 4K camera. Because I think, you know, people need to see ugliness in its true form. So that's what I've been doing. So we just need to know how it's gone. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe as well. It's been fine for you, Smiley Mac. Excellent. So Beam seemed fine. Not sure about the host. Well, I'll give you that one. I'm not going to argue. This time next week I might be a counsellor. But you never know. That could be interesting. But I'm still have opinions. I mean, you know, that's what life's about, isn't it? Having opinions. So huge thanks to Tufts TV, DC number 9, Jimmy Shand, and Smiley Mac. A few regulars have not been on tonight, which is unfortunate. But other than that, it's been a decent show. So thank you once I got it going. Thank you very much for watching, if indeed you still are. Thanks to all the people who've contributed. And I will see you all again next week for What a Week. Kieran, hiya. For What a Week that was. No, I'll join you next week to see what a week that was. Until then.